Nigeria and Canada have a long history of friendly relations as Commonwealth countries, as federations, as well as a shared commitment to promoting global peace, as shown by our common track record of contribution to the United Nations peacekeeping missions. Our bilateral relations were further strengthened by the recent visit of the Right Honorable Julie Payette, the Governor General of Canada. And everyone is still talking about how down-to-earth and inspirational she was. This summit further confirms the mutual desire of our two countries for deeper engagement, of course, not just between our governments, but also between our business communities. Nigeria, as we've heard repeatedly, is Canada's largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. But as you've also heard from the Nigerian ambassador in Canada, there is, and also the Deputy High Commissioner, there is tremendous opportunity and scope for increased trade and investment ties between our countries. The need to fully realize Nigeria's immense investment potential impelled us more than 2 years ago to launch a process of reforms aimed at improving Nigeria's business environment, with the inauguration of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, which the President asked me to chair. The committee was tasked with progressively removing the challenges faced by investors in doing business in Nigeria and ensuring coordination across several ministries and agencies of government. With the support of the leadership of the National Assembly and state governors, we were able to drive reforms that earned us a place last year as one of the world's 10 top reforming economies. The reforms continued in 2018 and have resulted in further improvements in Nigeria's ease of doing business score, for the first time in the last 3 years especially. We've also recorded improvements in the perception of Nigeria's competitiveness. Although some of the results are modest, we have arrested the decline in Nigeria's indices and positioned our country as clearly committed to incremental reform. We're now in our fifth consecutive quarter of economic growth after 5 quarters of negative growth in 2016, 2017. Of course, the growth rate needs to be ramped up in order to surpass the growth of our population and build on the momentum of economic change. Other macroeconomic indicators continue to trend in the desired direction, with inflation falling from about 15.9% this time last year and is now leveling out at about 11.3% over the past 4 months. Of course, it needs to come down even more. We are confident that the encouraging results will further propel the reforms needed to entrench economic growth and prosperity. In the coming years, the prospect of Nigeria as an investment destination will be even brighter. In 2 decades, we'll be the 3rd most populous country in the world, and at the same time, one of the youngest countries in the world. With the ongoing efforts at harnessing the entrepreneurial energy of our youthful population, we expect meaningful contributions, not just in Nigeria's GDP, but in developing homegrown solutions that will move our continent towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Nigeria will be the 14th largest economy in the world, and one that every company seeking growth and an investment destination worthwhile in Africa will need to pay attention to. Our medium-term economic plan, documented in our Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, the ERGP, identified some of the sectors that many Canadian investors are already familiar with as priority sectors, and these include power generation, clean energies, development of gas to power, mining of solid minerals, agriculture, food processing, manufacturing, and real estate. However, opportunities also abound in social infrastructure, especially education and healthcare, as well as physical infrastructure, air, land, and sea transport. While we formulate the policies in government, we expect the private sector to make the necessary investments and encourage Nigerian and foreign investors to work with us towards the realization of these opportunities. To accelerate the mobilization of private capital, towards the achievement of our economic recovery and growth plan, we conducted focus labs over a period of 17 weeks in the first half of this year. These focus labs are special interventions targeted at resolving specific bureaucratic bottlenecks facing large-scale investments in Nigeria. In the labs, investors sit with the relevant ministers, regulators, and government agencies to resolve the investor-specific problems that they may have. The focus labs identified $22.5 billion worth of private investments in 6 of our priority sectors, with the potential to create 500,000 jobs by 2020. $10.9 billion of these investments are described as most ready to go, meaning that the issues delaying them can be resolved and are being resolved speedily. We intend to continue the use of focus labs to resolve problems that investors may have. And so we also encourage Canadian investors interested in any of these sectors, not only to participate in these focus laboratories as we conduct them, but also to reach out to the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, who are here for this summit for any additional information. And they're here for the 2 days of this summit. The Director General will be speaking also at this summit. And many of the officials are here. And they will be extremely helpful, I'm sure, in answering any questions that you may have. Given Canadian strength in these areas and the potentials of the Nigerian economy, I'm certain that this summit will lead to positive outcomes for all participants. All of the efforts I've just outlined around ease of doing business and the resolution of bureaucratic issues can be summed up as soft infrastructure. But we're making aggressive interventions in hard infrastructure elements as well: roads, rail, power, air transportation, because we fully understand the very vital catalytic role that these play for private investment. The implementation of our vision for a modern national rail network that connects all the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory is well on course. Power generation and transmission capacity are up 40% in the last 3 years. Investments in airport and seaport upgrades are also ongoing. All these infrastructure upgrades, in turn, open up fresh opportunities for the private sector to participate by way of public-private partnerships, concessions, and additional investments. We're under no illusions that the Nigerian government can, by its budget, fund Nigeria's infrastructure requirements. So we certainly welcome you to explore how you can be a part of the changing story of our infrastructure. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this summit offers the opportunity to discover Nigeria firsthand, to go beyond the news headlines and some of the cliches and come to a deeper understanding of what makes us tick. The entrepreneurial energy, the optimism, the fast-growing impact of technology, and so on. The recently released Global Competitiveness Report of the World Economic Forum ranked Nigeria as 13th in world terms of taking entrepreneurial risk, which, as we all know, is the lifeblood of successful economies. I encourage you while here to explore Nigeria's investor guide, which has useful information on how to set up a business, indicative costs of select services, and will guide you to understand better labor, land, tax, and other matters. For the more established visitors to Nigeria, I trust that you have noted that a lot of your feedback drove our reforms at improving our country's business environment. Please keep the feedback coming to help us on our journey of continuous improvement. The relationship with Canada will continue to be a very important one for us. Our records show that over the last 5 years, Canada has announced a number of important investments in Nigeria, which will lead to jobs and economic opportunity for our people, and of course, mutual benefit for the business communities. I'm aware of recent discussions also between our ministers on the Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement, which Nigeria and Canada signed in 2014. I understand that some work is required to ensure that that agreement comes into force as soon as possible, and that our teams have been involved in joint discussions on how to achieve this. We are strengthening and empowering the government agencies involved directly with investors. The NIPC, which is the agency established to represent the interests of investors, is working on several initiatives aimed at better achieving this mandate. They've recently completed a revision of a list of pioneer status incentives. The last of such a review was done about 10 years ago. But the recent revision has modernized the list, expanded the tax holiday incentives to qualifying companies in e-commerce, in software development, in animation, music, film, and TV. The NIPC is now in the process of building a database of investment opportunities across Nigeria to guide potential investors. And so I'll encourage all of our potential investors to make them a first port of call. By them, I mean the NIPC, a first port of call for information and guidance on investing in Nigeria. We are committed to listening to you as investors and engaging with you. Please be assured also that we remain committed to driving further reforms, especially in the areas of security and the rule of law, and to generally improve the experience of doing business in Nigeria. I hope that in the time you'll spend here in Nigeria, you will at least get a better feel for the prospects of doing business here and the abundant investment opportunities. So let me once again say how very delighted I am to see the great partnership behind the organization of this summit, and commend the organizers, the Nigerian High Commissioner in Canada, the Canadian Embassy in Nigeria for their cooperation, and the Prime Essentials Development and Investment Limited for coming up with such a great idea. My appreciation also goes to all of the endorsers and sponsors from Nigeria and Canada for their support for this initiative. It's my sincere hope that this will be a start of a new vista in business and other economic relations between our two countries. Thank you very much, and it is now my very special pleasure and privilege to declare open this first Nigeria-Canada Business Summit. Thank you.